Picture this. A cowboy walks into a saloon, orders whiskey, and gets into a shootout at high noon. Sounds familiar? Well, almost everything you think you know about the Wild West is wrong. And the truth is way more fascinating. What if I told you that cowboys rarely wore those iconic hats? Gunfights were illegal in most towns, and the most feared outlaws weren't even gunslingers. By the end of this video, everything you thought you knew will be shattered. Let's dive into 25 incredible things from the real Wild West that have vanished forever. The American Wild West, roughly from 1865 to 1900, was stranger and more incredible than any Hollywood movie. Today, we're revealing 25 authentic aspects of frontier life that have disappeared into history. Some will surprise you, some might shock you, and all of them will change how you see this legendary era. Let's ride. Number 1. Pony Express riders. The Pony Express only existed for 18 months. That's it. From April 1860 to October 1861, these teenage riders would gallop 75 to 100 miles per shift, changing horses every 10 to 15 miles, facing extreme weather and danger for $25 a month. Then the telegraph arrived, and overnight, messages that took 10 days now arrived in minutes. The company went bankrupt immediately. That iconic image of fearless riders racing across the plains, just over a year of actual history. Number 2. Boom towns overnight. Entire cities appeared in months and vanished just as fast. When gold or silver was discovered, thousands flooded in. Towns like Bodie, California, swelled to 10,000 residents practically overnight, complete with saloons, hotels, and opera houses. But when the ore ran out, people abandoned everything. Today, we call them ghost towns. That wild energy of a brand new town exploding into existence and dying within 5 to 10 years was uniquely Wild West. Number 3. Traveling medicine shows. Before the FDA, con artists sold miracle cures for everything. Medicine shows rolled into town with music, magic, and a charismatic doctor selling elixirs that were usually just alcohol, herbs, or colored water. Sometimes cocaine or morphine. The famous snake oil was completely fake. These shows disappeared once regulations caught up in the early 20th century. Number 4. Cattle drives. The great cattle drives only lasted about 20 years, 1866 to 1886. Cowboys drove thousands of cattle, hundreds of miles north from Texas to Kansas railheads, spending months on the trail. Then railroads expanded into Texas. Barbed wire ended the open range, and the devastating winter of 1886 killed the industry. By 1890, it was over. Today, cattle move by truck. Those months-long drives across open prairie are gone forever. Number 5. Truly lawless towns. Some early frontier towns existed in a complete legal vacuum. No laws, no sheriffs, no judges. Deadwood, South Dakota in 1876 was technically illegal on Lakota land, with zero legal system. Justice came from vigilante groups making up rules as they went. Once territories were officially organized, that complete lawlessness ended. We'll never see American towns with literally no legal framework again. Number 6. Professional gunslingers. Hollywood shootouts are mostly fiction, but professional guns for hire did exist. They worked as security enforcers for cattle barons and mining companies. Here's the twist. Most towns banned carrying firearms. Dodge City, Tombstone, all had strict gun control. The OK Corral shootout happened because the Earps were enforcing a no-guns ordinance. Once proper police forces developed, professional gunslingers faded away by the early 1900s. Number 7. Telegraph operators as information gatekeepers. Before phones, telegraph operators controlled all long-distance communication. They knew everyone's business, every message, every emergency. In small towns, they wielded enormous power because information was so valuable. Train robbers targeted them to send false messages. Once telephone networks expanded in the early 20th century, their central role disappeared. One person controlling all communication for an entire town? Never again. Number 8. Free land giveaways. The Homestead Act of 1862 gave 160 acres free to anyone who'd live on it and farm for 5 years, completely free. Hundreds of thousands claimed land, including freed slaves, immigrants, and single women. However, only 40% succeeded. The rest were defeated by harsh conditions. By 1900, most desirable land was taken. That opportunity to claim free land and start over is gone forever. Number 9. Native American frontier conflicts. The Wild West era saw the final stages of Native resistance to U.S. expansion. From 1860 to 1890, tribes like the Lakota, Apache, and Comanche fought for survival while settlers pushed west. The buffalo were hunted plummeted nearly to extinction, partly to subjugate native populations. By 1890, most were confined to reservations. That moment of collision between two civilizations fighting over the same land ended relatively quickly. It's a tragic but essential chapter for understanding what the Wild West actually was. Number 10. Saloons as community centers. Saloons weren't just rowdy bars. In many small towns, they were the only public gathering place. News, business deals, job opportunities, town meetings, libraries, free lunch, all happened there. Bartenders acted as bankers and mediators. Politicians gave speeches over whiskey. As communities developed churches, schools, and town halls, saloons lost that central role. While bars exist today, they don't serve that same function as the heart of community life. Number 11. Outlaw gangs across state lines. The James Gang, Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch, the Daltons. These groups succeeded because sheriffs had limited jurisdiction. Outlaws robbed banks in one state and fled across the border where lawmen couldn't pursue. No FBI, no national police, minimal coordination. Railroads hired Pinkerton detectives because public law enforcement couldn't keep up. When the Bureau of Investigation formed in 1908, later becoming the FBI, that jurisdictional advantage disappeared. By the 1920s, interstate outlaw gangs were essentially impossible. Number 12. The genuine frontier experience. The Wild West offered something we can't recreate. The genuine frontier experience. Maps had blank spaces marked unexplored. Settlers traveled into regions they knew almost nothing about. No GPS, no satellites, no reliable maps. That psychological experience of true unknown, of venturing into territory where you might be the first of your culture to see a particular valley, ended when the frontier closed around 1890. Today, there are no true frontiers left in that sense. That door shut forever. Number 13. Buffalo herds and near extinction. 30 to 60 million buffalo roamed the plains in the early 1800s. By 1890, fewer than 1,000 remained. In the 1870s and 80s, professional hunters slaughtered millions for hides, sometimes just for sport. Buffalo Bill claimed over 4,000 kills in 18 months. The government encouraged it to subjugate Plains Indians. Early explorers described herds so large it took days to pass, a moving sea of millions stretching to the horizon. That thundering spectacle disappeared in just 20 years. We'll never see those vast herds again. Number 14. Wanted posters and bounty hunting. Hand-drawn wanted posters offered rewards for outlaws, dead or alive. This created Wild West bounty hunters who tracked dangerous criminals for money. Unlike modern bail agents, they could legally kill their targets. As law enforcement professionalized and the FBI took over tracking fugitives, bounty hunters diminished. Modern ones work within strict regulations and can't bring people in, dead or alive. That rough profession where you could hunt criminals with minimal oversight is extinct. Number 15. The open range. Before barbed wire, vast areas were open range where anyone could graze cattle. Cowboys drove cattle to public land where herds mixed, then periodic roundups separated them by brand. Barbed wire, patented in 1874, changed everything. Within a decade, millions of acres were fenced. The harsh winter of 1886 killed the system entirely. The era of open range lasted only about 20 years. Today, virtually all land is owned or regulated. Common grazing land, where livestock roamed free, is completely gone. Number 16. Stagecoach travel. Before railroads reached everywhere, stagecoaches connected frontier towns, but the journey was brutal. 9 people crammed in a wooden box, bouncing along rutted roads for days or weeks. No suspension, hard benches, 18 hours daily in dust or mud, freezing or sweltering. Food at stations was notoriously terrible. It cost $1 a mile, which was expensive then, plus danger from overturned coaches and outlaws. Once railroads expanded in the 1880s and 90s, stagecoaches vanished. The experience of genuinely depending on them for long-distance travel is gone. Number 17. Individual gold prospecting. The California gold rush kicked off decades of prospecting. Individual prospectors with just a pen could stake claims and potentially strike it rich. Some did become wealthy, though most went broke trying. Backbreaking work, panning cold water for specks of gold, barely scraping by on hope. By the 1880s, surface gold was gone. Mining became industrial with heavy equipment. The era of grabbing a pan and heading to unexplored territory where you might find fortune ended. Every accessible deposit has been found and claimed. That unique opportunity is never coming back. Number 18. Frontier town diversity. Hollywood gets this wrong. The Wild West was incredibly diverse. Frontier towns included white Americans, African Americans, Chinese immigrants, Mexican Americans, Native Americans, and European immigrants all living together. 1 in 4 cowboys was black. Chinese immigrants established Chinatowns in frontier towns. Mexican vaqueros originated cowboy culture. European immigrants sought land and opportunity. This mixing created unique communities where survival sometimes mattered more than prejudice. That specific multiracial frontier society born from isolation and mutual necessity was unique. We'll never quite recreate that dynamic. Number 19. The actual cowboy job. Cowboys weren't gunfighters or heroes. They were poorly paid laborers doing one of America's hardest jobs, $30 to $40 monthly, to tend cattle in extreme conditions, often going days without bathing, eating basic food, sleeping on the ground. Most were teenagers or 20s because the work was too demanding past 30. The outfit was practical: hats for sun, bandanas for dust, chaps for protection. Life was isolated and lonely. By the 1890s, as railroads eliminated cattle drives, the original cowboy was disappearing. Today's ranch hands use trucks and ATVs. That original Wild West cowboy spending months with just a horse and rope is gone. Number 20. Life without modern technology. The Wild West existed in a unique technological window. No electricity meant darkness after sunset. No refrigeration meant salting and smoking meat. No antibiotics meant simple infections could be fatal. No anesthesia meant agonizing surgeries. Communication was face-to-face or letters taking weeks. This shaped everything. Evenings ended at dark. Food spoiled quickly. News took months to reach remote areas. Families separated by distance might never reunite. People built entire communities despite these limitations. That self-reliance wasn't cultural, it was necessary. As technology advanced rapidly in the late 19th century, that specific frontier living without modern conveniences ended. We'll never experience that technological isolation again. Number 21. Total manual labor. Everything required handwork, water pumped or carried by hand, clothes scrubbed on washboards, fires maintained constantly for cooking, meaning endless wood chopping, plowing behind horses for hours, harvesting with hand tools, building with hand saws and hammers. An average day involved more physical labor than most modern people do in a month. Women worked incredibly hard managing households without any modern conveniences. Once mechanization and electrification arrived in the early 20th century, that level of required daily manual labor vanished from American life. Number 22. Vigilante justice. In many frontier areas, formal law enforcement was non-existent or ineffective. Communities formed vigilance committees to handle crime themselves. Sometimes this meant fair trials and necessary justice. Often it meant mob violence and hanging innocent people. San Francisco's 1856 Vigilance Committee hanged several men and expelled others. Montana's vigilantes in 1864 executed over 20 suspected road agents. This extra-legal justice happened because there was no alternative. As proper courts and law enforcement developed, vigilantism became illegal. That period when communities regularly dispensed their own justice outside any legal system is thankfully gone. Number 23. Frontier newspapers. Frontier newspapers were wild. Editors were often the most educated people in town, and they used their papers to wage personal feuds, push political agendas, and sometimes completely make up stories. Mark Twain got his start at frontier newspapers, learning to write colorful, exaggerated tales. Editors sometimes got into actual gunfights over editorial disagreements. These papers were crucial for isolated communities, providing news, entertainment, and connection to the outside world. As journalism professionalized and libel laws strengthened, that colorful, biased, sometimes fictional frontier journalism disappeared. Number 24. The genuine melting pot. Frontier towns forced cooperation across massive cultural divides. A settlement might have New England Yankees, Southern veterans from both sides of the Civil War, European immigrants speaking broken English, Chinese laborers, Mexican ranchers, and freed slaves all working together because survival demanded it. People who would never interact back east had to cooperate to build schools, fight fires, and defend against threats. This created temporary communities where normal social divisions mattered less. As the frontier closed and established social orders reasserted themselves, that unique melting pot dynamic ended. Number 25. The myth itself. Here's the final thing we'll never see again: the Wild West itself. Not as history, but as a living myth people actually believed in. For a brief period in the late 1800s, the frontier represented genuine possibility, freedom, reinvention, opportunity, adventure. People believed they could go west and become someone new, leave their past behind, start fresh. That psychological frontier, where America saw itself as a land of infinite possibility, closed with the physical frontier. By 1900, the Census Bureau declared the frontier officially closed. The myth continued in fiction, but the reality ended. Today we can study the history, separate fact from fiction, but we can't recapture that moment when the American frontier was a real place you could actually go, where the future felt wide open and anything seemed possible. So there you have it, 25 things from the Wild West that are gone forever. The real frontier was stranger, more diverse, more brutal, and more fascinating than any Hollywood movie. It was a brief, explosive period where technology, geography, and circumstance created a unique moment in American history. Some things we're glad to see gone, like vigilante justice and lawless violence. Others, like the spirit of possibility and adventure, we might miss. But understanding the real Wild West, not the movie version, helps us see where America came from and how quickly things can change. If you enjoyed this journey through real frontier history, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that separates historical fact from fiction. What surprised you most about the real Wild West? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.